All right. So I have to repeat it. Transfer, transmission of company. 56 to 59. These four sections are there. As far as the transfer of shares are concerned, the shares can be classified into the two parts: manual paper-based shares and debit and electronic. This chapter doesn't apply to this part. Why? Because in the demat account, if you want to buy the shares, just click on few button and shares will be bought. If you click the script, it can be sold. So we do not need formality, but I want to tell you more than 80% of the companies which are registered in India, they are not listed. So my question is, what if today the people, shareholders who are members of such company which is not listed in the stock exchange want to sell their shares, where they will go and how the things will happen? Right now, we have a company, Bhagavati Education Institute Private Limited. Bhavesh sir is one of the shareholders there. The question is, if he wants to transfer, let's say 20% of his total stake to me, how the transfer will take place? If you're thinking, sir, it is quite simple. So, there are two people. One is the transferor, let's say, and other is the transferee. That means one who wants to transfer the shares and another one is who wants to take the shares. We have these two people, right? Are simple, sir. Transfer will pay money. Transfer will pay money. Let's say total 100 crore rupees shares, and transferor will transfer the share certificate. Game over, guys. If I pay 100 crores to transferor and he just gives me share certificates, am I owner of the shares? Let me tell you the biggest problem. Still in the company's records, whose name is appearing? Okay, so who will get the dividend? Who will get the bonus shares? Who will get the notice of the general meeting? Who will get the voting right? And let me tell you, if you have studied the Sales of Goods Act in detail, you had been explained that share certificate, it is a document showing title. It is not document of title. So holding of which doesn't give you the power of the owner. तो ये आपको ओनरशिप तो नहीं देता. तो बस 5 करोड़ मतलब खैरात में दे दिए. I just paid 5 crores charity, right? No. Don't you think some specific provisions needed here to transfer the shares? Huh? Do we need or not? Actually, it is there. And what we have? We have the provisions as given under section 56. So, rule number one, whatever we are learning, it doesn't apply to those securities which are already listed in the stock market. So, let me tell you guys how actually it will happen. Look, there are two parties. One is the transferor and other is the transferee. In order to transfer take place, they have to download one transfer form. It is also known as transfer deed. It is also known as instrument of transfer. Are you getting me? It is also known as what? Instrument of transfer. From where we need to download? Nothing. Go to ROC website. In fact, you today just search like this. Okay, name of that form is SH4. As this form belongs to this share capital chapter, we use the word SH. Come here, just type the word SH4 and look at what you will get. SH4 Company Act transfer form. Look at, sorry, in PDF you want, no, just a second, in PDF, not SH6, SH14 नहीं, हमें 4 चाहिए. हाँ, share transfer form SH4. Yeah, link in time India Private Limited. It has new format of the SH4 Tax Guru, EY SH4, Gujarat Industries Power Company Limited SH4. Look at all these forms. Basically, what are the contents? Form number SH4, securities transfer form. Now this is very interesting, guys. Securities transfer form, not share transfer form. What does it mean? If you want to transfer your debentures also, same form. So guys, the chapter what we are learning doesn't applicable only to shares, but at the same time it is also applicable to debentures. So guys, look you how to first of all give the details of the company, and after then securities details, number of shares, number, quantity, amount, fully paid up or not. After then this is the transferors details, and what will be in the next page? Transferees details. After then signed by both the people. You have to pay the stamp duty. Do you know what they mean by stamp duty? Look, it is the asset transfer, and whenever assets get transferred from one hand to another hand, compulsorily you have to pay nothing but the stamp duty to the state government. So in Gujarat it is 0.25%. 0.25, not even 1%, one-fourth of the 1% on the total value of the consideration what you're taking there. So 0.25% of the total value you have to pay to the state government on this. And then guys, this form needs to be submitted to the company along with the share certificates. And the company will take some time, and during the time if nothing adverse is detected, company will approve this form. Transferor's name will be striked off from the membership register, transferee's name will be inserted, old share certificates will be taken back, and in place of them new share certificates will be issued. This is how the transfer process takes place in the company. And this is the legal evidence if anybody challenges that I have not sold the shares, just to show it. Now, one fundamental thing, at one day I was discussing these things and students did ask a good question. So, do we need to register this transfer form to ROC? Do we need to forward this to the ROC? What do you think? Because basically what happens, almost all the decisions what you pass, communication with ROC is mandatory. So share transfer forms need to be uploaded with the ROC or not? What do you think about it? Answer is no. Why? Bhai, it is the internal matter of the company. And if you say every details you have to communicate to ROC every day, there are lakhs of forms. And if the people start uploading that, ROC's website will crash. So guys, this is the internal purpose document. Are you getting me? Company will keep it in its files. It is not for the ROC. But whenever government officers want to investigate the matters, these documents will be supplied as the evidences. Make sense or not? So did you understand how the, I would say, transfer takes place in manual way? Okay, this form you should not forget. Look, in fact, you go to any company, look, this is your, I don't know whether the form format is given or not. Form number SH4 and yeah, that's what, like they have given over here, look at. Company's details, after then details of the securities, and after then numbers and transfer details. So wherever you go, look, this is another company's form. Look at. Again guys, can I say same thing? Now look, over here what is the beauty is everything is same. But these details is already filled up. And this is already uploaded in company's website. Look at this also. Another form. No, it is just about section 56 notification, not a form. But did you understand that forms details are whether you take this company's form or that company's form, they have the common format. Why? Because this is the format notified by registrar of companies. You cannot have any other details. At least you cannot cut them down. You may add more details, but you cannot cut them short. Am I clear to all of you? All right, Mitchell. So, second question comes like, fine, transfer we have understood, but what about the transmission now? What is transmission? So transmission, I can say it is the automatic transfer of shares. Automatic. Here the word what they have used is like under the transmission, the securities are getting transmitted by operation of law without filing any transfer form. Now, in the entire law, there are two situations where transmission takes place. The first is the death of the shareholder, death of the person. Death. You tell me one thing, students. On the death of the father, all the shares in his name automatically gets passed to the legal heirs or not? Legal representative or not? Or do we you need to wait for some formality to complete? Nahin yaar. As soon as he died, all the rights goes in his hands. Second is guys insolvency. As soon as the insolvency takes place, guys, all the assets belong to the person gets transmitted to whom? The official receiver or the official assignee. So the point is, here it is happening automatically by operation of law. You don't need to go for any formalities like SH4 download and then go ahead. ऐसा कुछ नहीं करना है. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं करना है वहाँ पे. Am I clear to all of you? So this is what the transmission is. Basic fundamental difference is clear. Now, in fact, if you go to Google and search about any kind of like that's what just now I have said. आप कोई भी image उठा लो. Suppose this one. Look at this one. This image. All right. Transfer of shares. Transfer voluntary act and transmission operation by law. It can be initiated by either transferor or by transferee, or it can be only by legal heir because the person who owns the shares no more is here. Got it? Yeah, but in the insolvency, his all the rights to hold get suspended. In place of that, official receiver will come to the picture. How it can come into action? A voluntary act of the parties, and this is during what? Insolvency, lunacy, death, or inheritance. How if the person becomes unsound mind, it may come to the picture. Is there a consideration? Yes. Generally, in most of the cases, transfer takes place on payment of some consideration, except gift. Gift is a transfer which takes place without consideration. But here, no consideration. Why? It is automatic. Is transfer deed compulsory? Over here, yes. What is transfer deed? This SH4 is nothing but what? Brother, you tell me, this SH4 is also known as transfer deed. So over here it is compulsory, over there it is not there. Whether stamp duty is compulsory? Transfer? Yes. Transmission? No. So for 5 marks, they may ask this question, the difference between transfer and transmission. So please do not get confused there. Okay. Now let's directly hit to the provisions of the section 56, 57, 58 and 59. Now let me tell you the structure of this 4 provisions, what kinds of questions we are going to learn. So write down those questions, what they can ask in exam. First question क्या है? Difference between transfer and transmission. ये पहले पूछा जाएगा. Second, procedure to transfer the securities in private company, in public company. Now here I know what your doubt is. Sir, public company, but it is listed now. Is it correct to say that all the public companies are listed in the stock exchange? Is it mandatory that all the public companies are listed in the stock exchange? Reliance Jio, is it public company, Bhavna? But it is not listed. So public company further can be classified into the two parts, listed and unlisted. So the provisions what we are referring here, it is for which kinds of companies? Unlisted. In Demat accounts, you don't need SH4. Just click and she has gone. Alright. Third, what if company refuses company refuses to accept transfer. Ultimately, you tell me one thing, at the end of the day, who will approve the transfer? Answer is company. But what if the company rejects it, refuses to allow the transfer? Then what are the remedies available? Next is, what if in transfer process company has taken or company has made some mistake in registration of the shares. For example, surname is not proper, transfer is approved but records are not amended yet, like this. Clear? Clear? ठीक है. So these are the main questions you have to go. So quickly now, guys, we will see. You see, basic is same by both, whether you are private company or public company. If it is falsification, now understand falsifications means like a transferor and transferee has done this. Transferee has done this. He has supplied the wrong information, right? Still, he has to take the shares. Still, he has to take the shares because ultimately there was a contract between the two parties. So whatever liabilities are coming, he has to bear this. What law will look at into that whenever the form was signed, it doesn't matter in whose name, your signatures are there or not. And if your signature was there, that means you have given the consent. So name doesn't matter. I can sign in any name. You tell me, guys, even if I'm Chirag Lakhani, but guys, if I want these kinds of sign in document like this, is it allowed or not allowed? Is it allowed or not allowed? Can I sign like this? You have your own signature. Where it is registered, you tell me. Nowhere. In fact, transaction to transaction, can you change your sign? Yes, you can. Signature is nothing but just your consent. That's all. If it is proved that it is done by your own handwritings, no matter how symbols you are using. In fact, I have two signatures in two bank accounts. Yes, I have. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Am I clear in everyone's mind? I hope it's clear. ठीक है. So let's quickly come to here now the provisions of the section 56. So share capital, section 56. So guys, a company shall not register a transfer of securities or interest of the member in the company. Now what do you mean by interest of a member? Shares. When the shares words are already covered up under the securities, why they have taken the interest word again? What if there is a company without having share capital? Possible or not today? Company no having share capital? Yes, it is allowed. Today, you may not have the share capital. So how will you provide membership to the members? Because even if there is absence of share capital, having minimum 7 members in public company is still compulsory. Guarantee. लेकिन membership कैसे दोगे आप? That is also true. But in most of the cases, guys, it is based on membership fees. Not as a share capital, but as what? Membership fees. Lifetime or annual. Depends on the policy. So what if I want to sell my membership to my brother? He's giving me 2 lakhs rupees for that company's membership. So over there, I cannot say the securities, but over there, I would have to use the word interest. So I'm trying to say this word is used for those companies which are not holding the share capital. ठीक है? And it is written also in the case of a company having no share capital, other than the transfer between the persons, both of whose names are entered as the holders of the beneficial interest. What is this beneficial interest? That I will tell you later on. Unless a proper instrument of the transfer, duly stamped, dated, and executed, either by transferor and transferee. So what this paragraph is trying to say, Bachcha? The procedure what is mentioned in the rules. The rules mentions nothing but what? The form number. What's the form? SH4. It should be dated, it should be executed. Executed stands for it should be signed by both the parties. Okay, now in this paragraph, I have a question. Transferor has signed, the transferee has signed, but who will deposit this form to company? Whose duty it is? Any of. Answer क्या रहेगा? So transferor may go, transferee may go. Both are other parties to the contract, no issue. And company has to accept it. Company cannot say like this that as it is not supplied by, not deposited by transferor, I won't accept it. This kinds of conversations not allowed. You have to accept, you have to accept, you have to accept. आप समझ रहे हो बात को? ठीक है. Now it shall be given to the company within what time? 60 days. Once it is signed. So what does it mean? Once the form is prepared, stamped, signed, and all, validity, maximum validity would be only 60 days. So form will get expired automatically after 60 days. Am I clear? ठीक है. There is one proviso. It says that it is lost. Suppose the transfer form is lost. Transfer form itself is lost. Can company allow the transfer? For example, I paid 5 crore rupees to one of the transferors and took the shares of worth of rupees 5 crores. But my form got lost and meantime transfer has also died. Now how will I prove to the company that I am the real transferee? But still I have other evidences like I have audio call, video recording, photo in my phone. Transfer form का पूरा photo, पूरा video है. Can I convince the company on that basis? So here losses company may allow the transfer relying upon the other evidences, demanding indemnity. Demanding what? Indemnity. What do you mean by indemnity? Indemnity stands for okay fine as far as the other evidences are concerned. Like police FIR, जब आप पुलिस में जाते हो तो ज्यादातर ये केस जेन्युइन होता है. अरे हाँ ना? Your images. I think that your case is genuine. Actually transfer happened but instrument is lost, I will allow. But let's say in future if company suffers any loss because of this drama, you have to compensate and you have to get it signed from the party who's claiming this. Am I clear? This is called indemnity. ठीक है? So guys, subsection 2 says that it is the sole power of the company to decide whether transfer should be allowed or it shouldn't be allowed. ये किसकी पावर रहेगी बच्चा? ठीक है, नोट लिखना तो लिख दो. It is sole power of the company to decide whether transfer should be allowed or it should not be allowed. Notes लिखते जाना. Transfer should be allowed or not allowed. Look, if you don't like the decision of the company, you can go to tribunal against the refusal. Are you getting my point? But you cannot challenge the right of the company. ठीक है? ठीक है. Now subsection 3 contains one logical point. आइए हम बात करते हैं. Suppose Sparsh goes to Pars's father. So there is Sparsh and here Paras and father. Okay. So Sparsh goes to Paras's father and says, Uncle, uncle, you know me, right? I'm Paras. Sorry, I'm Sparsh, your son's friend. Your son told me that go to my father and get me 25,000. Uncle, please give me 25,000. Actually, your son wants to pay college fees. Psychologically, what will be the first reaction of father here? What do you think? What shall be the first reaction? What he will do? He will directly allow, अरे अरे बेटा स्पर्श मेरे बेटे ने पैसे मांगे okay ले जा. Will you directly give the money or he will inquire first? Because you understand it's a doubtful. Today anyone may come and say that okay fine I have been sent by your friend and give me money. How I can give it? So, as a common sense, father will call Sparsh, sorry, no, not of course, to Paras and say that, beta, ये तेरा friend आया है, क्या matter? At least that conversation will happen. If someone unknown come to the father and asking the money, if known and there's a relation of the trust, then we can understand. Then we can understand. Do you get my point, Bhavana? Same way, students, you try to understand here. If there are partly paid up shares assumed, what kind of shares? That means liability is not completely squared up, it is still there. So if there are partly paid up shares, right? After the transfer, the liability of the calls would go on whose shoulder? The liability would go on whose shoulder? Transferee. Yes or no? Assume the transferor wants to get rid of the liability. चलो हम बात करते हैं. भावना is holding 10 lakh shares of a company partly paid off with 5 rupees. Total face value 10 rupees. And Bhavna just got a news from the market that company's future is not good. So even if the company is going for winding up, even in fact in winding up the company is demanding that remaining 5 rupees, it is the duty of the member to pay it. Yes or no? So Bhavna knows one thing, there is a hanging sword on her head. Anytime there can be calls from the company to pay remaining 5. So guys, remaining 5 on each share, she is holding 10 lakh shares. So 10 lakhs into 5, 50 lakhs rupees liability. Even if the company is dying, you have to pay. So as being the normal human being, what you will do? Definitely you will try to shift this burden on somebody else's shoulder. She's very smart. What she did is like anyhow, she made name Shreyas made Shreyas to sign the transfer form as a transferee. आप समझ रहे हो? She went to Shreyas and said, Shreyas, you're going to participate in this cricket match, right? Shreyas says, yes, I am. Actually, you know, university uh, is expecting this form to sign. And if you don't sign this form, you can't participate in that cricket match. As being friend, relying on the trust, you know what you will do? Shreyas, without reading what are the contents, signed it. Actually, it was SH4. So now Bhavna has Shreyas' signature as what transferee. Bhavna has her signature. Bhavna is the transferor, owner of the shares, certificates. And according to section 56, anyone can approach to the company. But here the situation is different. Because the shares are, bolo bhai, partly paid off. She went to the company. My question to you is, company should directly register the shares or it should inquire from Shreyas once that we have received the application from transferee that you are going to be new transferee, new owner of the shares. But just I want to inform you that once the transfer is approved, The liability will get shifted from Bhavna to you. Are you fine with that? So should a company directly approve the transfer, or they should make this kinds of conversation with transferee? What your logic says? इंक्वायरी करनी चाहिए नहीं करनी चाहिए, बिकॉज ये डाउटफुल हो सकता है. अरे हाँ है ना. So that's what I'm saying. In my previous example also, whenever there's a doubt, inquiry is must. अगर inquiry नहीं की, then you are liable. And the same provision is mentioned under subsection 3. क्या कहता है? When application is made by whom? So in my example, who was the transferor? Bhavra. Alone means she came alone to the company, and relates to what kinds of shares? Partly paid up shares. The transfer shall not be registered unless the company gives the notice to whom? To transfer. And this notice will be for 14 days. How many days? That within 14 days, if you have any objection, please respond. Otherwise, we will register the transfer. So guys, if I ask you the question that under what kinds of circumstances the registrar needs to give the notice to transferee. So under these two circumstances, like two conditions, when transferor alone going to the company, shares are partly paid up. अरे यार, समझ में आ रहा है? पक्का? ठीक है. All right. So you understand, ROC has to give the notice. Okay, ROC. Okay, you tell me one thing. While you file the income tax returns, does it have any specific form? ITR 1, ITR 2, something like. When we file ROC returns, we have the forms like AOC 4, MGT 7, something like that. So whenever there's a communication between the public entity and the government, it shall not be randomly given. Some formats are given. So if ROC wants to communicate to, okay. So that means the 2 weeks are given for response. So if let's say it was fraudulently, your signatures are supposed fraudulently taken, then you have 2 weeks to reply. 2 weeks is nothing but 14 days. And if you fail to respond, so ROC will assume as acceptance and will allow. Sorry, not ROC, I'm wrong. ROC की बात नहीं कर रहा, company. Company will assume this as your acceptance and will allow the transfer, and later on, your complaint. Company will at least not take it. Why? Because there are your signatures. Those signatures are forged, then the story is different. But in this case, what is happening? Your signatures are there, but signature is obtained fraudulently. Forgery and fraud, these two are the different concepts. If somebody else is signing other than the authorized one, that's called the forgery. Here, forgery didn't happen. क्या हुआ है? Fraud हुआ है. So fraud is something between the two parties. Company can't come to the picture. ठीक है. So my dear students, okay, subsection 4 is talking about that once the shares are allotted or the transferred, allotted or within what time the certificates will be issued. So here the different time limit is given. If it is share certificate, then what is the time limit? If you are subscriber, then what is the time limit? If the shares are allotted, what is the time limit? So this part I don't want to do, it is the homework. It is the homework. Am I clear to all of you? Alright. Subsection number 6 is trying to say about, I would say, the penalties and the punishment. I do not want to go in this. And even my dear students, 447 will be applicable if you are doing this to defraud the people. Okay? So in short guys, in 56, this was the provision. Okay? Alright. ब्रेक लेंगे अभी, लंच ब्रेक। पारस की बैटरी तो आई, खाना वाना खा के आइए, 2 बजे मिलते हैं, ठीक है। मैं अपनी बैटरी भी रिचार्ज करके आ जाऊँ तब।